Welcome back to another solo episode of B2B Growth. My name is James Carberry. I am founder of Sweetfish Media, one of the co-hosts of B2B Growth. And if you are new to this show, this is a little bit different format. We typically are interviewing CEOs, VPs of marketing, CMOs at fast-growing B2B companies throughout the week. But on the weekends, I do these little mini episodes and talk about just different things that I'm learning as an entrepreneur, how we're growing as a company. And today's episode is about the GDPR email that I sent out earlier this week. I'm not going to bore you with details of GDPR and what it all is, but essentially the European Union passed some regulation that has dictated the entire world to change the way they get permission to collect data on their websites. So if you collect any sort of personal data on leads or people that are signing up for your contact form on your website or whatever, you have to do a bunch of new things to your website, and they have to click check boxes to make sure that they verify that they understand your privacy policy and agree to your terms and conditions. All this like super boring stuff. And if you're listening to this, I'm sure you've seen a gajillion GDPR emails in your inbox, because from what I understand, as part of the regulation, when you update your privacy policy to match the standards for what this regulation in the EU requires you to do, you have to notify all of your existing subscribers that your privacy policy has changed and all this stuff. I could be wrong on the specific law of it, but the consultant that I worked with to help us get kind of up to date with GDPR told me, hey, it's probably a good idea to send an email to all of your list, just letting them know that your privacy policy has changed. And I was getting a slew of these emails. They were all outlandishly boring. Hey, we've updated our privacy policy in terms and conditions, and just the nature of that stuff like makes you want to fall asleep. And so as I was thinking through, okay, if I have to email my list, like I take great pride in every single time we touch our audience, we reach our audience with messaging, be it a LinkedIn post or an episode like this, or particularly an email. I want it to be a good experience for that person. So I have a lot of people asking me, hey, can you email your list about this or that? And I'm just very, very conscious of what I send to my list. And knowing that I was going to have to send them a really boring email about GDPR and privacy policy updates, I thought, how can we make this fun? How can we make it a good experience? And so came up with an email, and it ended up being one of the most highly engaged emails I've ever sent. I was getting responses like, this is the best GDPR email I've gotten. This was great. Congrats on, making me laugh out loud when the others have put me to sleep. And the only thing I did with this email was I made it human. And I wrote the email like I write all of my emails. I write them like I'm talking to a friend at lunch. And I think so many people, particularly when they have to write emails like this, stuff that is boring in nature, they strip all of the humanity out of it and they just communicate what they have to communicate. And the small tweak that I made, my consultant gave me kind of a template. Hey, this is what you need to say in the email. So I included that. But the subject line, I put another boring GDPR email. That's fun, right? Like it's calling it what it is. Call a spade a spade. Everyone knows these emails are boring. Everybody's been getting a million of them. So I put that in the subject line. The first sentence, I said something along the lines of, I know this is the gajillionth GDPR email you're seeing. We'll keep this brief, smiley face. So very just human way of opening the email. If I were required to tell my friend at lunch about GDPR, that's probably how I would open it up. It's like, hey, you've been having conversations, all day, every day about this, but I have to tell you about mine. Let me keep this brief. It's going to suck, but whatever. And so I applied that as the first paragraph. Then I put in kind of the template, the links to our new privacy policy, terms and conditions, all that stuff. And at the end, I said, all right, I almost just bored myself to sleep writing that. So if you made it this far, you're a trooper. And then I closed the email by saying, here's to not getting sued for data compliance. And then my signature. And so I think the lesson learned there, considering the fact that was my most engaged email that I've probably ever sent in terms of like the replies that I got to it. Now, we don't have a huge list. We've got, I think, 3,800 people on our email list. But I had several people reply to that email saying how good it was. And I think it was good just because I tried to make it human. I write like I talk, and I don't feel like enough people talk about that skill in copywriting, whether you're writing a blog post or a LinkedIn status update, or you're sending a GDPR email. Write like you talk, because people will respond in a much more positive way. They'll engage. They will likely take the action that you want them to take if you just talk to them as if you would talk to them across the table at lunch. So hope this is valuable for you. It was very eye-opening to me to send an email that I was actually dreading sending. I was like, God, I do not want to send this email. It's so boring. But the fact that I was open about that and human about that and real about that actually ended up making it a really good email. So anyway, hope you have a fantastic Memorial Day tomorrow. If you're listening to this on Sunday when it goes live. And I will talk to you soon.